All right, so we're back in OnShape. We're going to do the PurpleBlock now. So I'm going to come up and create a new document. We're going to title this PurpleBlock. So again, make sure that you're using our file naming system by putting your first initial and your full last name on that. Hit OK so we can get into our drawing screen. Now, recall and remember, for right now, while you're learning how to do this, I think it's probably easiest putting in the overall outside dimensions that you're looking at when you go to read to print. And in this case, those outside dimensions are going to be the width of 1.5, the height of 1 inch, and the depth of 1 inch here on the PurpleBlock as well. So we'll go right here to sketch. We're going to sketch on the front plane. So that opens up. I'll come up here and I'll click my rectangle tool to draw my rectangle. Come right down here and select on your origin and just kind of move it up. Now notice I'm in the isometric view, so I can draw it this way if you want. If it's easier for you to go over to your front plane and pull up and just have it on the front plane, then by all means use the front plane too. So I'm going to left click to place that. So first now is my width of 1.5. I'll hit enter, and now I want to set the height of 1 inch, and I'll hit enter. That's all I'm doing right now. So that rectangle is done. We'll click the check mark. Now I want to extrude that. So let's go ahead and hit the extrude button, come over and select that shape. And in this case, I want that to be a depth of 1, but I don't want it coming out toward the screen with me. I always kind of prefer to draw it going back into the screen. I don't know why, it's just kind of my habit and preference that I use. And I'll go ahead and I'll click the check mark there. Now at this point, I've got a 1 inch by 1 inch high by 1.5 inch wide by 1 inch deep block. And we're going to kind of have to select some other surfaces here and think about where we need material to be removed from that purple block. So, and then we can kind of select different faces to do that. So to start with, I know if I'm looking in the top view that I've got some areas cut out with. So I'm going to now start my sketch and I'm going to select the top view. Now, I don't have to. I could start any place else. This is up to you. So again, I'm going to create a sketch on this. We're going to come right here to the corner and select it. And in this case, I'm going to move over to the other corner. So notice how it's automatically picking up on those midpoints, which is exactly where I want. Let me kind of zoom in here. So as I come over, notice it kind of snaps into the other side. If I move over, it also snaps into the midpoints, which again is what I want for this part. So I'll click that sketch and I'm done with it. So we'll hit the check mark, and now I need to extrude that. So, and I'm going to select that shape. So it's coming up. I don't want it to come up. I want it to go down. And I need to change the depth here to 0.5. So I only want to go down 1/2 inch deep. And instead of adding, I want to remove that. So 1/2 inch remove of that material, and I'll click the check mark. So now I kind of have an L shape here. And by now, hopefully you also realize I got to kind of come in here and I also got to cut out material here. Now, once again, I can cut material out this way, or I can select this plane to sketch on and I can cut material out that way. I'm going to go ahead and select this one just to show you one of the other ways that we can use the options that we're given. So let me go ahead and create a sketch plane here. And again, I'm using my rectangle tool. You can use the line tool too if you want, but it's kind of, to me, it seems like it's easier to just go ahead and use the rectangle tool. Now, notice I come right in, it's going to highlight on that line and snap to. So I'll go ahead and I'll left click onto there. Now this is going to be 1 inch, here. And of course, our 1/2 inch dimension is already there because we kind of locked that in when we selected that top corner line as well. So that's done. And we're placed there. And I'll hit the check mark. And now I'm going to extrude that as well. So again, this is going to come out to say NB and add. We don't want to add material here. We're going to remove material. So we'll click the remove. And now notice it's saying blind, going 1 inches all the way through. So we don't want it to go all the way through. I'm going to do this though, just to show you. So we're going to check that. So now notice how this looks when we kind of flip around to our different views, how it kind of cuts out. So, and certainly there are times in some of these challenges that you might have would be drawn like this, but this isn't one of them. So notice we don't cut all the way through there. So I'm going to come back now to this, my feature bar over here, where this is showing you all the steps you're taking to draw these. So this is good to remember. So I'm going to come right back here to Extrude 3, and I'll right click and we'll say I want to edit that. So it brings that back up. Now, instead of being then going 1 inch blind, so if I select my end type by hitting that drop down arrow, I can say up to next. So up to next. Now notice, so when it says next, it knows this is the next part where it's going to hit. So let me check mark that. Nope, it took it all the way out. So let's see what's going on here. Let's go back and edit this extrusion. So notice it removed that. So maybe it didn't like, we're still removing it here. So rather than up to next, so let's say up to face, and let's just play around with this. So see what it meaning and talking about up to face. So, and picking the face of sketch 3. So altogether, as you're playing around with this, you'll get different types of experiences. So this is the face that I want to go to. So I got to tell it that. I'm going to click that face and tell it, and we'll check mark that. And there you go. So this is what looks like the PurpleBlock, kind of. So we're missing something here. So what are we missing? Well, this corner of this needs to be cut out on the PurpleBlock as well. So let's go back here and sketch now. I'm going to sketch here. I can sketch this way and say through all, or I can sketch from the top and then extrude down. So I'm going to go ahead and select this as my sketch plane. We'll draw that. Again, doesn't matter here for my dimensions. I can just kind of drop it. Then it'll come in 0.5, enter, 0.5, enter to get that on there. I've tied this into that corner, so I've kind of constrained it already. Click on the check mark, and now let's go ahead and extrude this. Selecting this, notice I could select either one of these shapes right now. This is the one that we want. And in this case, again, instead of adding, I'm going to remove it. And now instead of the blind here, I'm going to say we want to go through all. So, and click my check mark. So we've got that shape taken care of. Just to confirm, let's go to the front view. So looks like what I need in my front view. Let's kind of rotate around to my right view. Looks like what I need in my right view. Come back to the top view. Looks like what I need in the top view. I think I'm good to go with this particular drawing. Go back to my isometric. Zoom in a little bit here. And lastly, we want to apply that color. So we're going to come right back over to our appearance panel. Select the add face appearance. Again, in order to do this, we have to kind of window over and select everything that we want to have of that appearance. And then you can just kind of pick whichever color purple you like here, right here. I kind of favor that one on the second one up. Click the check mark. We'll go ahead and close this panel. And our PurpleBlock is done. So we are ready to go back to our main documents page. And of course, we can then go and make that PurpleBlock, and we can download that and upload that to the assignment in Google Classroom.